Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls Podcast. I'm Aries.
And I'm Kim.
Hello there.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll just say good day.
Good day. Yes, that's a good one.
Good day.
We were just laughing. I was telling Kim about her fidgeting. So
Well, you know I have fidget spinners.
Yeah, I was like, we gotta hurry up today. I said we got a lot of things to do.
Lots to cover.
Lot of things to kind of cover. So I want to hop right in. I was gonna do a quarantine check-in with you, but I feel like do we feel like we quarantine still? Do we still have that same feeling? Because we just came back from a little vacay. You
we
feel
did.
quarantined right now?
I do.
You do?
I do because we had not been exposing ourselves to anyone else. Sure. And literally, like I talked to somebody else, they said they had gone on vacation or whatever. We weren't really out. I mean, we went horseback riding, but that was outdoors. And we still kept our mask on when everyone else didn't have theirs. Sure. And so I feel like because we had limited engagement with people other than, with what was going on with me, I do feel quarantined.
Yeah, you had things going on.
I did.
We got to touch on that a little bit later.
Lessons learned is what I call them.
Everything that we go through is for our growth. So
yes.
You got to learn something out of it. So anywho, lots has happened. I feel like, everything is still going on. We got, COVID is still here. It's live. It's well. It is thriving throughout the country, the world, specifically the United States. I feel like we still dealing with the drama of wearing masks, not wearing it, the government, the this and that. It's just so much. And I just feel like we just got to do what's best for you and yours when it comes to this.
I like that.
Judge Clay Jenkins, when he was doing his daily briefings in Dallas on Dallas County, there was a point at which they were going to reopen and he was not down with it, but he was trying to stay on task with the on message with the governor. And he was like, well, this is what the governor's saying. We're going to follow the rules. He was like, as for me and my family, we're going to be staying at home. We're going to be wearing our masks. We're going to be doing following the CDC guidelines. So that's kind of the recommendation I would say is for you and your family, you need to do what is best because this thing is coming in and it's hitting. So,
and actually, I haven't really looked at the news a lot, like since we've returned, which is probably not a good thing because I like to at least check in like once a day. But I just had to disconnect from it.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know he was doing daily updates.
Well, he was at one point, and then they stopped because
right
injustice.
Gosh, right.
That took over the news cycle for a while, and then it started coming in periodically. But that was when we first were about to reopen again, and when he said that, and I just stuck with that. I'm like, you know what? Then that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So
yeah, same here.
Yeah. So
and I'm just grateful that again I can work from home because we know that not everyone has that privilege of working from home.
Yeah, it's definitely a privilege. And if you have it, make the best out of it if you can, because putting yourself it's a lot of people putting themselves at risk at this point, to just do their regular job every day to go out there. So we definitely commend those that are doing that. And also thank you to the essential workers that are still going to work every day and helping take care of people who have this crazy disease. I have Aunt Leela's in the hospital right now. She has pneumonia. So she's been,
that's right.
My aunt,
but not COVID.
No. So, but still, just her being in there is just still
the exposure, the potential.
She's 92 years old. So, but she's doing better. I got to actually check in on her today.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so, we are in August.
That came quick, right? So like summer's almost over. There has been much debate about whether the kids are going back to school or not physically in class. And so I went on my daily walk this morning and I walk by a school, the neighborhood school every morning. So was it Monday? The teachers have already returned. And, my mother used to be a teacher and I really thought about that. And I just had to whisper a prayer for those teachers because I couldn't even imagine being in that position, in that predicament of like, what if that was my mom having to go to work? Like, that's exposure to COVID, and I would be greatly concerned. And you have a lot of teachers who are actually early retirement or quitting, and we already have, to me, we don't have enough people that will go into the teaching field, specifically Blacks as well.
Girl, we were on the cabins. Remember, I had joined that webinar with Dr. IJ. He was a friend of mine back home from the Bay. He was moderating a panel of Black educators, men specifically. They're trying to encourage more Black men to become educators and teachers because we have a lack there. So they were talking about strategies and ways to appeal to the Black men to want to even be teachers, because the thought of, and they brought up a lot of good points. One is you think you got to know everything to be a teacher, which we know that's not true. Because, I think that was probably my first thought. If someone said, there's two things. One is they don't get paid enough. Number two, you'll be thinking, well, I don't, I'm just trying to get out of school myself. I don't want to have to learn everything and teach, but it's not like that. It's
they have a curriculum that you follow.
Exactly. Look, I'm about to do it right now as a homeschool mom, right? I was sitting here like, I need to decide what curriculum I'm going to use and all that. So we need more Black women, more Black men. I would love my kids to have a Black male teacher, I see the difference in them having a tutor that's a Black male. And LJ, who hates anything that has to do with school, he sits there and listens to him.
He's fully engaged. I've witnessed that. There is a difference. I've experienced it. Kiara has experienced it. Remember, she was here in a school where there were predominantly non-Black teachers, and I purposely and intentionally put her in a school district or a school with predominantly Black women or Black teachers. She even had she had a few male teachers. There was a difference. There was actually, I hate to say it. It's sad to say. It's sad to say, but there was truly a difference.
The first day they met, he started working with LJ when we were in normal life last year. And
you said normal life.
The first day he came in, he's a young brother, he's, got his swag on. He's an alpha, so he coming in with his little A5A, stuff on. And I'm like, okay, right? And he was a senior at the time. He graduated from UNT, going to medical school. Come get it. So he's teaching that math and science. But the first day they had a secret handshake and all this stuff, and all that, but just knowing how to relate to him and checking on him, and
exactly,
it's a different.
It is a difference. And also when you see someone that looks like you, that's like, you can't be what you can't see, right? Yeah. And so it's sad to say where we live, and it's unfortunate. I don't think that they don't have enough diversity out here.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And even though my daughter's not part of the school district anymore, I hate that I was not more involved, because not only do we need diversity at the corporate level, we need diversity, and we've talked about this, at the school system level.
It's all systemic. It
really is.
And when you start learning about all the different pieces that go into, like, how do they hire over here in Allen ISD?
Yes.
Different things. But it goes even back to what we just talked about. How do we get Black men and Black women to want to even pursue this career, right? I think I had to pull rank on the boys last night, because I was talking about how my school was going to be, because, I'm the teacher. So I was like, y'all going to get the best education, because they were trying to lightweight play me a little bit. I said, first of all, let me tell you something. I said, I have a bachelor's degree in political science, a minor in business administration. You got something right here under your eye.
Oh, thank you.
I said, I have a minor in business administration and an MBA. So I am more than qualified to.
Oh gosh, yes, you
are. I'm probably more qualified. You still got something right there. I'm even more qualified to be your teacher probably than your actual teacher. So
and you have their best interest, right?
Exactly. I'm like, I know you. I raised you. You got some of me in you, so I know how to teach you the right way. I'm doing it as your mother. I'm already called to be your mother and your teacher.
That's right.
You better.
I just pray for you both, for all three of you, because patience on both ends of the spectrum, because you know what your child's capable of. And sometimes when you know that and you know that they're being lazy, that could create a unique dynamic, lots of tension.
Well,
So
I will be engaging the and this is a free plug, Jay. I know he want to come on the podcast. We got to bring him on.
good.
Ink
Yes, let's.
Ink Education. It's not complicated. Education. They are the tutoring company, Black owned tutoring company that we use. And so I've already been working with them on like, okay, I'm going to be upping some of this because I'm not paying for after school. I'm reallocating my funds basically.
Exactly.
I'm not paying for after school care anymore. So that $400 and some I was paying for them to go, I could reallocate that to more tutoring. So we'll supplement some of that a couple more times a week, you know, and things like that. So I just feel like as, you know, Black women, mothers, we were born for this. We are the mothers of the world. We are the mothers of earth. We are, you know,
I agree.
Eve, we already know, go do your research, the Eve gene, this is all coming out of our womb. So we've been raising our kids and other people's kids since the beginning of time. So we're more than qualified.
And I like the fact that, you know, you are soliciting a Black tutoring company. So I think I shared it with you, and I'm glad I shared it with you when I did, because I think it's important to get them young. The younger, the better. So we went to him for SAT or ACT prep, and he was wonderful. I just wish I had known him earlier or sooner, because she would probably be ahead, because little did I know that, yes, private school does not always equate to the best education, believe it or not. True. Because they don't have to follow the same standards and guidelines as the state. But then you have public school just because you're in a great district doesn't mean it's going to be great for your child.
Girl, because then when I've been
really it's in your hands to teach your children what they need to know so that they can grow.
I've been researching curriculums, and as I look at the history, we totally supplementing that. I was like, I'm gonna make sure you know all the things you need to know, specifically around government and how it works and all that, you know, as far as Constitution and all that. The history, we're gonna fill in those gaps, because I was even uncomfortable going through some of the stuff. I'm like, y'all just not gonna say what they was doing over here in this other place when they stopped on the ships in the Caribbean and over here. Y'all just gonna act like, oh, and then next thing you know, they're in Jamestown, Virginia, and then they start. No. Hold on, y'all got to go. Let's get more in depth. So, start paying attention to that curriculum, because we just kind of been letting our kids go to school and they come home, they got homework. I got questions. Like now, I'm like, wait, why are y'all not talking about the real? So.
This is actually a business opportunity for someone who's very good at history. I will say this: when I put Kiara in that. I know, seriously, because I personally would pay for it if it was me and my child. So when Kiara went to that private school, that history teacher was amazing. She was bomb. And she delivered the message in a way that it retained with them. But she also leveraged like different creative activities. So like they had to create a rap about the preamble. It was so unique. Yes. And what she did was she built this curriculum up that pretty much led up to a Black history trip. And they took 5 days, they took a whole week, and they took the kids through like Selma, Alabama, and everywhere.
Nice.
So,
that's good.
So that might even be something that you think about, like, oh, how can I tie this into a location that we go and visit?
I've been praying on just making sure that I can make it fun and creative and where they will be eager to learn. You know, I find little games that I feel like they like. They're very competitive. So I started with a couple little things last night, and I'm like, okay, they like this type of game. So we're going to create that as a part of the curriculum, you know, do it a different way. So with them being competitive, that game, they love it.
Would that game be taboo?
No, that wasn't the game.
Oh, okay.
It was this other thing where they had to come up with additional words. So I would give them a list, and then I'm like, they had to first guess what's the subject matter. So if I just start saying wrench, saw, this, that, and they're like, oh, tools, like things that are tools.
Kind of like Jeopardy.
Yeah. So you have to come up with, I'll give you a bunch of words and you're like, what is this category? You know, so one was category. The other one was like lists. So I just named, and they had to come up with more things to add to the list. So
I like
it's
that.
fun. You got to kind of, now they're using a lot of like gamification to teach kids.
Lots.
So they'll use
Even adults.
technology. Yeah, exactly. Get your badge and
I was gonna say, let you say get a badge. I'm like, where? What do I need to do?
exactly. So anyway, yeah, I think we need to like just not be afraid. I've always been afraid to homeschool. We kind of been forced into all this stuff that we have been afraid of. And yeah, it's gonna try our parenting. It's gonna try our everything. It's gonna test everything that you feel like, your abilities as a parent to really do this. And so I'm up for the challenge. I'm like, who better to teach my kids than me? That's the attitude I'm coming from. So anywho,
I like it.
We had a good time at the cabins. We got to disconnect, as you mentioned earlier. You had a couple of mishaps with your vehicle once we got there.
I did.
Kim said, I got a flat tire. I'm like, oh, Lord. Flat tire turned into a messed up, what's that thing called? Lift.
My tailgate.
Tailgate.
Yeah, my lift gate.
Lift gate. It went from a flat tire to the lift gate stuck open to a crack windshield.
Yes. And they said things happen in threes. And I was like, Lord, what are you trying to show me? Or are you testing me?
It's pressing.
Right? Yes. It was putting the pressure on. And it was like every time, like you said, first it was the flat tire. Then it was the lift gate. It was like, okay, what next?
What next? Got handled, and guess what? In all of that, nobody got hurt.
That's what I said. I said we had a good time. No one was hurt, harmed, or dangered, and we all came back whole.
Yes, God, hallelujah.
So, and it just goes to show too, like, while this whole pandemic, that's a thing. It's materialistic, and I think, like you said, this pandemic is pushing us to be creative, to be more patient, to be more humble and grateful about the small things. Yes. Yes. And also, I know we talked about this, but trust. It's like trust in him.
Yes. Most importantly, I think I'm grateful for that year of not having a job, because it put me on like the branch, like I'm on the vine, of God, basically.
Yes.
I had to trust. You have no out. This is what you're doing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do feel like God will put us in these positions where it's like, so what you gonna do? You gonna do your own thing, or you gonna trust me?
You gonna trust
what's
me?
The easier way? It is hard, because as our, in our flesh, we want to just be like, let me go do this. And I learned now, I'm like, I'm good. I'd rather just go on God's plan. I don't want mine is never.
And we talked about this. If it's not from him, then I don't want it. Be it a person,
place,
thing. Yeah.
Any noun.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Look at you over here teaching grammar already.
I gotta get in the mode, right?
I'm like, what grades are you teaching again?
4th and 6th. It's gonna be very interesting.
Oh, that is.
But I have help. I have consultants that I've brought in to help.
Okay, good.
Specifically math. I feel like science is not as math is the main thing for me. Everything else I feel like I can teach.
Perhaps if you just have a math person to do that, that might help you.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. No, that's not an option. That's happening. That's what.
And I like your idea. Get a black person, a black male to teach them math.
I want them to get used to men teaching them. I want them to get used to a black man in a leadership position.
Yes.
Because I think we're used to seeing, middle-aged white women have taught us, well, not you, because you went to segregated schools, but taught me my whole life, and it does affect how you see yourself, how you see, like, can I be smart? It's just a lot of different things that it can affect mentally. So I want them to at least have that. Because when we went to Paul Quinn, I was going to say this earlier, you introduced me to who Jay was and ink tutoring and all that. Yeah. But once we went to Paul Quinn College for the summer last year, his tutoring company who was teaching them math during the summer camp. That was the math was coming through his tutoring company. So he came back, and I was like, here we go again, crossing paths. So that's kind of how. So I was like, let me go on and get him. I'm gonna utilize their services. So if you have somewhere locally that you guys have, if you're not in our area, find
He's virtual.
Black, huh?
He's virtual.
Yeah, well now, right? Everything is kind of out there, but find you some Black-owned places to support. I think that's a really good way to kind of reinvest in our communities and reinvest into our children and their education and stuff like that. So I've joined a ton of homeschool mom, melanated moms, and
all these different
things. So I've been trying to learn from the people who've been doing this before I got on board. So
bless your heart. I'm glad that's not my season, but I'm here as part of the village. As I extend an olive branch to help you if you need any assistance. So
I'm gonna call you for PE. You and Kier.
And you know what? Call me because I need it. It's gonna help me.
Y'all the ones for that. When we were in the cabins and they were playing hide and go seek in the cabins with the kids, they were playing pool. They were doing all the kind of stuff. I'm like, you know what? Good. I'm about to get into bed.
Speaking of that, yeah, you did. Speaking of that, it was funny too. I think we, like you said, we had some lessons from the cabin. I learned some patience. But also, you can learn from anyone, even the youth. Yes, and so Marvin was very enlightening on this trip.
Marvin is funny.
So as I'm teaching him pool, right? Because when I arrive, there's a pool table apparently, and he's upstairs playing and practicing. Mm-hmm. And I told him I knew how to play a little. And so I said, I'll play with you. And so when I played with him, he was like, oh, you really are good. So it was like that moment when they figured out that I knew how to play Mario, and they were like, oh, wow, you are good at this. Mm-hmm. And so I was giving him some tips. I can appreciate kids who listen. He listened, him and LJ. And so as he's picking up just on those little things, he's trying to then coach LJ.
Typical.
And tell LJ it's about strategy. And I'm thinking to myself, did this boy just say strategy?
Gotta be strategic.
He said that, so he's been listening to you apparently.
Clearly. Well, that's good to know that they listen to something.
He said it's strategy, and he had to practice.
He was up there practicing by himself. He's like, I want to go practice and get good because they're competitive. That competitive nature will get you far. He also said when he was like asking me was something worth my time.
Oh, when you were telling the story about driving to Oregon?
Oregon, yes. I said that I drove to Oregon. He was like, was it worth your time? And I was like, it resonated with me when he asked.
We both looked at each other like, was it worth your time?
I'm like, you know what? We need to start asking that about everything.
So now, post-COVID, pre and post-COVID, during COVID,
everything.
That is absolutely a question I will ask myself. But I feel like we've already been doing that. Like, is it worth our time? But for the baby to say that just really resonated.
I told him, I was like, if you can think that way starting now, you're going to eliminate a lot of
time and money.
Exactly. You're going to eliminate yourself from a lot.
Even when you start dating, is it worth my time?
That's especially important. Time is precious. What else went down?
We had the mothers there. We did some painting.
We went horseback riding.
We did.
It was a good just family bonding moment. I feel like really that was you need to do that. Disconnect. I'm glad the Wi-Fi was lightweight trash because we couldn't just be all doing too much on technology, but it was fun.
And you didn't share Marvin was baptized.
Marvin, look, he's been wanting to be baptized for about a month and a half or so. And we tried to sign him through the church. Something happened where I don't know. It was supposed to be the first week of July. So we were going to re-sign up. But by the time we got to the cabins, he was like, we got water here. I'm like, well, come on, somebody. You better
we did.
Request to get dipped in that water, boy.
Right.
So I baptized him. I went online and I was reading up, making sure I could valid, it's a valid baptism. And
right.
I was like, hey, if you saved, you can baptize him something like
he that. Came up out of there like Simba.
He came the water. I said, yes, that to me, that's
was the
gold.
trip.
That's goals as a parent.
That is.
I am a Christian woman. I am teaching my children Christian values. I am teaching them those things. But for them to choose themselves what they want, that's really the goal, right? It's like you want them to consciously
Make
know
the decision.
why you're doing this. What are you doing? You know, and having that dialogue. And for him to say at 9 years old, I want to be baptized, I was like, hey, shot time. About to shout up out the water. But yeah, so that was a blessing, and I'm like, I'm good now. I'm like, my kids know Jesus. But it goes back kind of to what we were talking about regarding, you know, how this platform of the podcast really, for me, is so that we can continue to really encourage each other and help each other when we find things that work, like share that and support each other and educate ourselves together, and that village mentality is kind of what I foresaw this being for us with other women who are and even men who want to jump on this bandwagon. But it's like I am so I'm feeling very
together
strong about Black women and where we're going right now. Like I am putting that as a top priority in my mind, like what we're doing as Black women specifically. I just feel like we're so amazing, and we've been so like that people keep trying to push us to the bottom of the conversation, and I am sick of that. Like,
yes,
I cannot.
In every aspect, politically, you think about healthcare wise, just professionally. I mean, you have all these mayors, these Black female mayors of major metropolitan cities. And they do something. It's like every little thing they're nitpicking. But if someone that was non-Black, that wasn't brought to the surface.
One of the first things they said when they were talking about Kamala Harris and her presidential run, she's too ambitious. Did you say that about white men who've been running for president forever, who don't even have the qualifications and the education and all the stuff that she has? Plenty. It's many Black women who could be on that list of vice president, you know, right now, or president. Let's go back to Shirley Chisholm back in 1972, 73, you know, in that area. We've been leading. We've been leading our families. We've been leading in all kinds of spaces that we still continue
to lead people to the polls.
We lead our communities.
We show up.
So I'm at a place where like I'm not even tolerating. I haven't been, but I'm really on high alert now. You know, and I'll use an example that's pretty controversial, but like one thing I love about the Jewish culture is that they don't tolerate a little piece of y'all trying to come for them in any way, shape, or form, based on the history of, you know, what happened in Germany and the Holocaust and all that stuff that went down. It's like they pick, when they see those little roots of the same evil that caused that to happen, they go right. It's like that is a campaign for them. You don't say anti-Semitic things, you know, and all that. Right. We need to get just like that when it comes to us. When it comes to us, we need to be right. Just call that thing out, like right then and there. When I see someone saying something about a Black woman, you're not gonna do that around me. That's not. I don't care. You're not gonna do it. I'm not allowing it. I'm not supporting it. I'm not. None of that. And I think if we all do that and just continue to lift each other up. Dang, I left that book in there because I'm about to. Shout out a Black woman right now, because I think it's a good book for the conversation we're gonna have. But yeah, it's like time for us to just really get behind this. And I think especially in this election year where we have done so much for this country, it ain't about us trying to ask them for a seat at the table at this point. We deserve it. We earned it. Yeah. We've already earned it above and beyond. We've done above and beyond. And for us to be on this ticket, it is our right. Period.
Agreed.
He needs to pick a Black woman. Period. I know everybody's tired. They're scared to have that talk because they don't want to say, "Oh, well, if he don't, then we still gonna vote for him." That's not the point. We need to get back to like negotiation. We need to ask Jacqueline.
Yes.
Come back to come on this on our podcast, because why are you just giving your vote away for free? You're not going to ask for anything in return. You're not. It doesn't have a value to it.
You're not going to demand, right?
Yeah. Why shouldn't he feel like he needs to do something? Regardless, yeah, we're not going to go vote for Trump, period. But the point is, you want me to back you. You need to tell me what are
you doing for me?
Yeah, that you see that. So that's kind of where I'm at with on the political side of things. I'm down with everybody. I see Ice Cube is out here. He got called after. He was like, we ain't got time for this. Like, he's all about like hold the vote hostage. Like, he going straight hardcore with it, which I don't oppose anybody who is asking, is demanding what we deserve in this moment. Every time an election,
I mean, they demand what they want. Why can't we demand what we want?
Exactly. I'm like, our blood, sweat, and tears has been shed for this. So
it was built on our backs, on our ancestors' backs.
And you could trust us to raise your children. You could trust us to, be
essential workers,
do all these other things, but our vote, you just expect that's gonna just be there? Nah. So I'm all on team. Let's hold everybody accountable. No, we're not voting for Trump, okay? But we still need to hold people accountable for what you're saying you want from us. You want me to vote for you? What you got? What we doing?
What you doing for me?
Yeah, because I was on this. It reminds me of a conversation this week. I'm in this Black women. Did you invite me or I invite you? The Black Women in Technology group on Facebook.
I think I invited you.
Okay, and so they were talking about negotiation. It was some entry level women who just came out of college. They were talking about what they were in negotiations, or they were offered a job and they're trying to figure out, is this a good enough salary or should I negotiate? Yes. And so listen to these women saying, some were saying, that's good. You just got out of college. You don't need to ask for nothing.
No.
And other women who were like, no, because I was one of them. Like, I don't care if what you just came out of. You need to you still negotiate. I don't care what number they said. I don't care what it is. You always, right. That's what I learned the hard way. Negotiate. Because guess what? When she, and it became a whole separate thread because one of the Black women leaders who was in the group, she said, let's have a conversation about all y'all that kept telling this girl to not negotiate. Like, what is happening? Why are y'all afraid?
Get logged in because I want to see this.
Girl, go in there. It was lit. And so guess what? The girl came back and said, and I did do what y'all said, and I got more money.
Bam. And that's what we need more of. Stop accepting whatever they give you. Because guess what? And I just had this conversation with Kiara. There are too many of us, and you sent me that video, and I sent you a message where it stated the statistics of 68% of Black women are wage earners. And I'm thinking to myself, we work so hard. We work so hard. We go to school. We are the most educated. Why do we have so many hourly wage women, right? Mm-hmm. So if we don't work, we don't get paid. If you're hourly, and if we're taking out all these student loans and we come out with all this student loan debt, but we don't have enough money to pay for the debt.
And let me tell you, the other piece of that is that what we spend our money on is different than other people, other women. We have to pay. We're taking care of our families with that money that we're getting. So not only are we building up more student loan debt, we taking care of Nana, we taking care of Pawpaw, we taking care of Ray and them who be getting in trouble, and all that stuff. So it's a different. Amanda talked about that in the memo, her book, and that's one of the differences. I was like, oh my God, I relate so much, because when you have someone who excels in the family, everybody's looking to this person, as a resource, and you want to help, right? So our money is getting put all over the place. But the reason I was saying that too is just that we can't be. What are we scared of? This is the time right now. I feel like we're in harvest season. We need to be reaping every little piece of everything that we're supposed to get right now. We need to go for it and just
come on, Sister Williams.
I'm serious. I'm like, we need to demand what we deserve in every area of your life. That's with your job. If you're, going for a new job and you're negotiating, you need, go do your research and learn what the value of the skill sets that you have. Like I have to tell my kids, I'm like, I have a master's degree in business administration. You didn't got your mind. Don't play with me. I work hard in education.
You just reminded me of your mom when you just did that.
I was like, had to stop downplaying myself.
Right.
Because when we're up in these workspaces and they keep diminishing you and creating this imposter syndrome within yourself, you start being like, I mean, well, let me just be quiet. No, I'm tired of that. Like, no, I know that I have a value to add into the conversation. I've done the work. So I'm not doing
You've
that.
done the work, and you're probably doing most of the work in most cases too. And then they try and, when you get ready to go for your PDR, now all of a sudden you're average. But I wasn't average enough to do all this good work for you to make you look good.
And we got to just remember that remember who we are, basically.
Who and
we have
who
to remember who we are. We've been nurturing our communities. We've been we have historically and currently, like I said, we got the intellect, we have the education, we have the qualifications. We have more qualifications than probably we even need to have, because somebody over here don't have the same qualifications and they,
making
right
more.
there making more money. Some of that has to do with how we see ourselves, because when you know what you deserve, you're not going to accept anything. You're not just going to accept pennies. And that's why I like to expose myself to other people. Because what did Jacqueline say? She was like, find you a John. And I did. Yes. I did that. When I went to go for this, I have a white male mentor named John, who I said, this is how much, is this a salary? I did. I was like, is this what is this salary like reasonable? Like what's the average salary for something like this? And he was like, he's telling me like this, you can get this or that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Once you tell me and I do my research and I got my numbers right, you go in with confidence.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. So like, really, I'm trying to build my daughter up and teach her the things that I've learned, because again, I keep kind of going back to this and reiterating this. I'm seeing so many of our children come out of college only to start working in customer service. Now, it is absolutely nothing wrong with customer service. However, when you have amassed $60,000 to $80,000 of debt and you've gone to school to learn a particular skill set that you can do this particular role, why aren't we acquiring those types of roles and jobs that are not hourly?
Yeah, especially if you invested that money.
Yeah. So
and just knowing you got to do the research, right? And that goes with all of this stuff. I mean, I feel like it's a common thread. Just we're kind of bouncing around different subjects, but it ties in together with, if I'm going for a new job or whatever, I need to go look at the market. I need to look at the area that I live in. I need to look at my skill set. I need to do the math and figure out, what do I need to live and what is going to make me happy and satisfied in this role. If I do this job, am I going to be feeling like, dang, I ain't making enough money every day? I'm not settling for jobs like I can't.
Right.
Mentally, you can't do that, because all the work you're going to have to put in, you don't want to feel like you're not getting paid enough for all the effort, right? You be like, if they paying me good, you be like, all right, let me go do this right quick, because that fat check I'm about to get is going to make me feel better about it. When you settle for something less, you're like, I ain't getting paid enough to be doing. Your attitude is different. I've had that before. And so I can't settle for that. And I think that we should not settle for that in any space. You should be having
that. That's a great call to action. Don't settle in anything.
Keep your mindset where you recognize, and I think it comes with, number one, going to therapy if you need to handle all the things that have created you feeling like you don't have the value that you should have, where you don't see the value in yourself. And these are things that may be from your childhood or whatever it is that contributed to you being, feeling less than or whatever. Get all that handled. And then, to build that confidence up, and then just start educating yourself, reading some books, go expose yourself to some different environments that don't look like what you typically do around other people. Because then you start saying, oh, they making this much money, or they making that much, and not knowing. I learned some stuff about somebody who was making them. They was like, yeah, I make 400,000. I said, what? But I had never thought of somebody making 400,000. Like, so I was like, oh, well, shoot, I need to be asking for 6. You making 4 and you ain't even got no college degree. So I need to be asking for more. And
that's why we have to educate and expose ourselves to those types of people, those roles, because if I'll go back to this, it's good those people had that Facebook group, because we didn't have that. So we didn't know what the value of that role was, right? So we had nothing to compare it with, so they could just give us anything, whereas I'm in this role, nope, this is what you need to ask for.
Yes.
So it's kind of you pulling somebody along as you progress up.
We have to, or they will be lost and they got to go through the same stuff that we went through. Why? That's not right. Like, let's help each
generation should get better.
Generationally, we need the old to help the young. We need the young to help the younger, you know, and all that. So I think that as we, you know, kind of come to a close, come to a close to this sermon, one of the books I would like to recommend for everybody, I just started reading it, and I love this girl. I have just fell in love with her whole personality on Twitter, on MSNBC. She took over for Joy and Reed. Yeah.
Tiffany She's officially
Cross.
taking over?
Well, she's been taking that because Joy, she started her primetime spot.
Yeah.
Hoping that she gets that spot, that Tiffany gets this spot
permanently.
But she wrote a book. Her name is Tiffany Cross. She wrote a book called Say It Louder. And that will help you if you aren't really familiar with the political landscape and kind of how we got here, what we need to do and all that kind of stuff. That's a great book to just get started, to start seeing like, oh, the value of what I contribute to this civic duty of mine, you know, and what people went through before me to make sure that I have a voice when it comes to the vote, and what it has to do with your schools. It has to do with your health care. It has to do with your welfare. It has to do with all these things. So whether you say you like politics or not, don't matter. You need to be involved. And so that's one. And then also, you know, within our own, we talked about this when Lee was on, our local districts and our local, you know, elections and stuff like, because that's what the real power is going to be in November. We trying to forget just the VP. We're saying we want a Black woman VP. Period.
Yes.
Period.
But the local level is also just as important.
We want Supreme Court. We want Senate. We want House. We want mayors. We want school board, we want city council, all that. And it might be time for some of us to start thinking about getting into
running for some of these.
I literally was thinking about it myself. I'm like, ooh, I always think about the scandals involved. I'm like, who's gonna come out the woodworks when they start I gotta look, my past. I don't want my past to rise.
That's why I told people I don't send any type of videos or pics, because I've said this. I said I might decide to be a councilwoman one day.
Well, you know what? One thing President Trump did for us, he got the most sketchiest pass ever. So don't try to pull. You can pull mine out. Go to pull about.
Yeah, that's true. Right. That's true. But like you said, as we come to a close, we are less than 100 days away from voting.
Yes, we need to organize.
We educate. Yes, and exactly. We absolutely need to organize and educate ourselves. What else would you say our call to action?
What's his name? Mike, the rapper.
Oh gosh.
Why I can't say his name right now? Oh, anyway, he was always talking about organize, strategize. You guys, so we need to do all of that. We really do.
Killer Mike.
We really need to get if you got kids that's over 18, we need to make sure they're registered, make sure they're ready to understand this process and know what to do. Your community, your cousins, Ray and all them, when they, somebody had me laughing. They were like, well, if they call you talking about borrowing money, don't let them borrow nothing if they but ain't vote.
She's right. And you know what? I love that because, like, honestly, I was like, I'm going to tell Kiara, don't come in this house unless you have that sticker.
I need to see that you
voted. Take a selfie while you're walking into the poll. I know you can't take your camera in there, but as you're walking in, go take you a selfie.
We need to do it like our life depends on it. It does.
Yeah.
It does. It so does. So anyway, I'm in that zone right now. As you can tell, I'm like fired up.
Yeah,
I'm
going to order the book.
We need to get as fired up as we did when Barack was running, because I was a delegate. I was working the polls. I was doing all that. So right now, I know there is a poll worker shortage. So if you have the ability to work the polls during the election, that's also a good way to kind of contribute and volunteer because the older people who usually do it, they aren't as many.
Their health is compromised too, right?
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we just gotta stay aware and up to date on this stuff, guys, because we gotta get this fool up out of here. But while we getting him out, we need to get what we supposed to get on the way in to
Okay.
so anyway, I guess we already gave a call to action. So hey,
It
y'all
was
been
best
buying
for
shirts,
you.
y'all. Hey, y'all been
I
buying
know.
shirts. I
Thank
see y'all been on
you.
boldblackgirls.com buying up these shirts. So if you want one, I do have some left on the website. We are trying to really get rid of this particular batch because we're thinking of some other shirts that we want to make. But don't hesitate to go to the website, boldblackgirls.com, and share the podcast with some friends. And that's all I got. Anything else? Close us out.
No, I think we covered a lot today.
We did in a short amount of time. Look, trying to hurry up. I was like, hurry up, get it under an hour so we can get on these other things we gotta do today. But all right, y'all. We thank you for listening and your support. It has been amazing.
Yes.
And we
Don't
will
forget to rate and review.
yes, rate, review, and we will see y'all. Have a bold week. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.